So Christopher Nolan, the very famous acclaimed director, is going to be returning to Universal Pictures for his next film. The planned release is in July 2026, so that'd be about 3 years after the release of Oppenheimer, of course, his last very successful film. Matt Damon is in talks to star, but currently, other than that, we really don't have any details about what this film is even going to be. And I got a quote here from Emma Thomas, who is Christopher Nolan's both wife and producing partner, saying, quote, "I would say it's very exciting. This is the moment where the possibilities are sort of limitless. We haven't started thinking practicalities or anything. Oppenheimer was so absurdly successful, and we feel like we have an opportunity," end quote. So the context of this is, like, this isn't really that big of a deal, but I wanted to bring this up that we have confirmation that he's sticking with Universal. And you might be like, well, why are you saying he's sticking with Universal? Like, why does that matter? And the context here is famously, Nolan made almost all of his films with Warner Brothers for like 20 years. Save for his first two films, starting from, I'm going to list all the films. He basically, over like a 20-year period. Insomnia, Batman Begins, The Prestige, The Dark Knight, Inception, The Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, Dunkirk, and Tenet. He was always with Warner Brothers. And he made them a lot of money, right? Because some of those are especially The Dark Knight is like one of the most successful films of all time. That last film, Tenet, was released at the height of the pandemic in August of 2020. And understandably, it had very poor box office results. So that definitely, I think, kind of grinded Nolan's gears that they didn't try as hard to get it into more theaters or to market it better, or to just like delay it longer so it could have like a more traditional opening. So that's like his personal axe to grind. But then about maybe 6 months later, Warner Brothers, and this is pre its merger with Discovery and David Zaslav taking it over, Warner Brothers decided, in the midst of the pandemic, it decided to shift its entire 2021 slate to premiere on HBO Max, when it was still called HBO Max. It shifted its entire 2021 slate to premiere on HBO Max day and date with theaters. No additional charge, unlike Disney, which you could watch on Disney Plus, but you have to pay like a $30 fee to watch it early on streaming. This would be for no additional charge, day and date. So it really hurt the chances of a lot of these movies to do well at the box office, because why would you go if you could get it on the same day if you're already paying for Max or HBO Max, right? And Nolan was not happy about this. And of course, this had nothing to do with his film Tenet. His film had already come out, but he was purely on principle was very upset about this. And he went as far to publicly say, quote, "Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out they were working for the worst streaming service," end quote. Which I don't know is fair. Max is definitely one of the better ones, just in terms of the wealth of content. But I understand his point. That, he's super into the theatrical experience. So for him, he saw this as degrading or devaluing that experience and those films. So when it came time to make his next film, Oppenheimer, he decided to ditch Warner Brothers and he went with Universal, which of course was critically acclaimed, won a slew of Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director for himself. And it's also his third most successful film after The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. And IGN notes that it's the highest grossing biopic of all time. So I'm sure Warner Brothers is really kicking themselves for souring this relationship. They really screwed themselves over. Not just because of this one film success, but again, he has made them consistently great box office returns for decades now. Nolan, in my opinion, he's one of the best directors living today. And even if you don't like him or his movies, you gotta admit the guy, he's the only living director that can make a biopic, a 3-hour dialogue-heavy biopic, into a big event film worthy of the biggest screen possible. Like it's an Avengers movie, right? Now, would Christopher Nolan return to Warner Brothers? Maybe down the line, but I don't think anytime soon. Because if anything, Warner Brothers is even more hostile to filmmakers now with its new management and David Zaslav, as the CEO, hostile to the creative process and canceling films, completed films left and right just for tax write-offs. IGN notes that the studio has expressed interest in trying to have Nolan back, but I think if he was willing to walk away over the initial kind of disagreement, I doubt he would be super into returning to a studio that could decide, we want to cancel your film. We'll make more money with the tax return than releasing your film. Wow, what an interesting story. I'm sure you have some thoughts about the topic, so comment below, let me know what you think. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really, really helps people find the channel and makes me feel all warm inside. Until next time, I'm Peter Mancuso. Peace out.